Let's now study Boolean operators or logical operators. These are not, and, or. Let's have two variables. One of them is buy fruits and assign it to true. The other is buy vegetables and assign it to false. So if we print buy fruits, it should return true, and print buy vegetables, it should return false. Let's have our run and see. Yes, the first one is true. Buy vegetables, the second print is false. Let's note that true is equivalent to 1 and false is equivalent to 0. We will in short come to this again. Let's have a better print for buy fruits and buy vegetables. So let's add between quotations here to be printed, between quotations, buy fruits, and have a comma to print the variable itself. Also here, let's have the same thing between quotations for a better print, add buy vegetables, close our quotation here of course, and have a comma to print the variable itself buy vegetables. And let's have our run here and see the better print. Buy fruits, true. Buy vegetables, false. We can have even a further better print, adding equals and leaving a space here. The same thing with buy vegetables. Now let's study our not. So instead of buy vegetables, let's say here, did not buy vegetables. It is true because buying vegetables is false. So not buying vegetables is true. And let's say here, not buy vegetables. Just add a not before the variable and have our run here to see that did not buy vegetables is true now. Let's have another print here just to use the or. So we print buy vegetables or buy fruits. And here we have buy fruits or buy vegetables. Or buy vegetables. One of them is fulfilled, one of them is true, which is buy fruits, and therefore this or should give a true. Buy vegetables or buy fruits equals true. Now let's try having and. So instead of this or, we have and. And instead of the Boolean operator here, we have the Boolean operator and. And let's have our run. Of course, it is false because we didn't fulfill the two variables, only one of them. Let's now study this or. It is an expression that returns the first true it meets, otherwise it returns the last item. Okay, let's have those as comments. And let's start with our first print, 0 or 1. And let's have a run to see what this means. It gives 1. Since or gives or returns the first true it meets, 0 is false. That's what we said here. False is equivalent to 0. So it doesn't return the first item. It returns the second one. Anyway, 1 is true. Or returns the first true it meets, therefore it returned 1. For a better print here, of course, we will have between quotations 0 or 1 and have a comma to return the Boolean itself. Let's have our second print here. Say false or hello. False, and false must be in a capital letter to be recognized as a Boolean by Python. False or hello. Between quotations, hello. And let's have our run. Of course, the first true it meets here is the hello. So it prints hello. Let's have a second print to try the same thing. Let's print no string here or hello. Let's say hi. Let's have another print here. An empty string, leaving a space here. Or, between quotations, the string hi. Now refine our prints. So let's add here, between quotations, something to be printed as a guide. So we simply write 0 or 1, close our quotation, have a comma, and so on for the rest. Let's add here equals. Let's do the same for the rest. Yes, after refining, let's have a run here. So we have false or hello returns hello. No string or hi returns hi because no string is false, but an empty string is true, and therefore it returns the empty string here, which we don't see. Let's continue other examples. So let's print here an empty list or false. And let's have the run. It returns false because or returns the first true it meets. Empty string is false and false is false. It says here, otherwise it returns the last item. Let's have another print now. Let's have some elements. Orange, a list of fruits, and another element, let's say apple. And let's have our run. The first true it meets, of course, is the list. So the list is printed. Let's do the same thing with and instead of or. So let's have a copy of all these. And paste them here. And just change all this or with and. Now, and is an expression that returns the first false. So 0 here is the first false. It will be returned. False is the first false. No string is the first false. Empty string is true. And hi is true. So it either returns the first false it meets or the last item we expect hi to be returned. This empty string is false, and false here is the false. Let's have our run now. Yes, it returns here 0. False and hello returns false. No string. And hi returns the no string. empty string and high, it returns high as we expected. And the empty string here is the first false. And false here is the first false it meets. This concludes with our Boolean variables, not, and, or, and their uses.